Lara d'Argento e Yara Paoli. Grazie, buon talk.
Rome, hello. So, may the growth be with you. I'm still into coughing a little bit, so I thank you in advance for your patience. And yes, we are Lara and Yara, and we both do growth. I know. I made it on purpose, of course. About me, yes, my name is Lara d'Argento. I actually am one of the 7 founders of Puglia Women Lead, an association with about tackling economic violence. And I am also a growth specialist, as a consultant and as a mentor in international incubators and accelerators. Yara. Yara is, and Yara does, has a job.
I'm Yara Paoli, and I work in growth as well. I used to be the ex-Global VP of Growth for Skyscanner, Chief Growth Officer for Preply, and at the moment I'm leading a team of growth and product in a Norwegian company called Oda that we will talk about in more details in a bit.
Thank you, Yara. Our presentation will be about foundational and advanced growth methodology for your product. We wanted to deliver both a framework and a case study, and we made it exclusively for this event, so for Product Management Day. In the first part, I will cover how to start a growth when you have no time. Yara, in the second part, will show you how to do growth when you have more time. Basically, my job is to simplify your life. Yara's job is to complicate your life. So, let's the fun begin.
See you later.
Chapter 1, 5 radical steps to grow your product, starting from 0. I know, it sounds a lot. It sounds challenging, but I will deliver it. In 15 minutes, which is about my part of the talk, I will show you 5 basic moves to rock the growth of your product. Sounds like in Lord of the Rings, certainty of death, no chance of success. What are we waiting for? So, let's move on. In February, when I applied to be a speaker for this event, I set my goal. I wanted this talk to be about how to make growth accessible for every product. Specifically, in my application form, I wrote, I want growth to be accessible even for the products that are ai piedi di Cristo, which in the language of my hometown, Bari, means they're in the lack of the most powerful assets. So, yes, let's move on and start exploring growth for the product you have, the one you not have yet, and the one you don't even know you will have. Growth is about fast experimentation to connect the value of your product to your target audience. Among the tons of things that you will need to start to grow your product, I'll give you the key to nail it from the very beginning. This is where your unicorn game starts. If you're failing to plan, you're planning to fail. And that's why my first radical step is about prioritization. Raise your hands if you never, ever had problems into prioritizing things. I see no hands. No, you're lying. I know you're. Prioritization starts when you understand the difference between top priority and extra priority, or extra priorities. They can be more the extras, but the top priority is unique. It's just one. And it's that thing that must happen, otherwise, finito, caput, cerrado, ha chiuduto. You go home. Your product goes home, your business goes home. There is a word between fundamental and important. Words are important. Words matter, by the way. This word is prioritization. It's about understanding where to go before finding the way to go. Want to picture this? I will call my cultural background and appeal to Alice in Wonderland. When Alice meets the Cheshire cat, lo stregatto, you remember what Alice asks the cat? Which road shall I take? And the cat says, it depends where you want to go. So, for me, the Cheshire cat is growth mentor number 1. Sorry, Yara. And I would like you, every time you are in trouble into understanding your priorities, to think about the Cheshire cat, lo stregatto. Radical step number 2, retention. So you got the point. You got the fundamental point, your top priority. Now it's about to keep it. It all starts with a spark. Actually, there is nothing that doesn't happen in growth that doesn't happen in love as well. So yes, it all starts with a spark. But then it's about to keep the fire burning. To keep the fire burning between your product and your customers. To keep the fire burning means first date, then what? You got the first date. How do we keep it? How do you keep on seeing this person? So how do you keep users and customers to get back on your product? Think about an app. Would you be satisfied with a download? What if it's a download and then nobody uses your app? What is the retention? That was probably a vanity metric. Retention is about choosing how long you want your product to shine. It's up to you. Choose if you want to shine in the light of a meteor, about up to go crashing through our Earth's atmosphere, or if you want to shine in the light of the sun. So think about how willing you are to start a long-term relationship between your product and your customers. Radical step number 3, traction. Traction is about trajectory. I'm a Sagittarius. Trajectory means how to make data forecast. Sorry, traction means how to make data to forecast your trajectory. Often, I meet products that say, well, it's not really the product that's talking, but I mean, you got the point. Yeah, we're not growing enough, not making any more customers. But what about the trajectory? First of all, how do you understand the trajectory? Well, talk data to me. You need data, but then you need to take decision according to this data. Otherwise, data are nothing. Traction is about get your products close into the market. You know when I learned that traction is really important? When I first rode my bicycle, carrying my surfboard. Yes, I usually carry my surfboard onto my bicycle on the right side. Almost everybody knows it in my hometown, Bari. And trust me, I learned how traction is important because I needed to stay in the control. I needed my wrist to manage my weight the surfboard weight and the bicycle weight. Standing in the way of control is what you are looking from your data. Because data are the asset you are going to use when you are on the phone or in a meeting with an investor, saying, yeah, sounds like 3 customers in the last month, sounds a little, or maybe a few, but it's the beginning of a trajectory. How are you sure that your clothes, the clothes of your product are into the market? Think about the pandemic. Think about every business that in the pandemic was closed because it was linked to a space. Think about a museum. Think about a hairdresser. Think about a restaurant. The focus was not on patate, riso e cozze, potatoes, rice, and mussels, which, by the way, is still typical from my hometown. The focus was on delivering the same experience with a lunchbox, because customers couldn't knock at the door of the restaurant anymore. Well, at least not during the pandemic. So it was not about the product itself, as in my case, it's not the bike, it's not about the bicycle, it's not about the surfboard, it's not about the bicycle rack, surf rack, it's about the experience. It's about how I love to feel free on my bicycle, carrying my surfboard. It's about the transformation your product is about to deliver in the life of your customers. Think about that. If you cannot picture your ideal customer living his or her life with your product, you are missing the point. And you are missing the trajectory and the traction as well. It's like bad. No, let's start like this. Yo. Ho-ho. OK. Radical step number 4, cloning. We got the point. We got the top priority. We learned how to keep it, how to maintain. We are seeing and monitoring our trajectory. Then what? Then we need to find our ideal customer. Well, it should be done anyway. We should find more person like him or like her, like them. Growth means finding who your best customers are, then cloning them. Sounds easy, isn't it? With the Irish accent? Mm-hmm. It's not. You know why it's so difficult? Because we tend to please everyone. We want to be liked. We want to be loved by many. J'adore. Salut. And this is bad. Again, like this is the Titanic of the bad ideas. No, you can't please everyone, and actually you shouldn't care about that. You should focus on your ideal customer. Why? Because you are solving a problem into his or her life. Let me picture this better. Often, let's take a step back in ancient Greece. Think about 3 architectural styles: Doric, Ionic, Corinthian. What I often see is that Doric products want to please Corinthian. Wrong timing. If you are Doric, focus to Doric. There will be time to become a Corinthian, and you could stand apart for a distinctive carved capital, but it's not the moment. And if you are Doric and you pretend to be a Corinthian, you are missing the point that growth is a process, and evolution is a journey. These 3 styles have one thing in common. They must keep the architrave up. Like you have one job. Otherwise, the temple crumbles. As long as you are Doric, you are solving a very specific problem. Got to keep the roof. Stick to that. Don't try to, like, I don't know, wanting 5,000 more like on TikTok or something, whatever, or adding so many features we don't really know how to use because they're not solving any problem. Focusing on your ideal customer and move on with the cloning. As easy as it is. Fifth radical step to grow your product from zero. How do I make my product going viral? You make your product going viral when you think, you conceive, you build, and you keep your product shareable and shared. Want an example? It's like when you are at the restaurant and you order a slice of cake with 2 forks because you already know that you will share it. And this will activate a viral loop. It's pretty the same. So, first part of going viral, which, by the way, means that you are pretty close to achieving a long-lasting relationship. This is long-lasting, it's like my lipstick. Is to make your product become that something your customers cannot live without anymore. It is related to habits. You know, there are, like, we usually need 19 days to create a new habit. Your product must get through that habit, or being so compelling to create a new habit. And then you have to make your product stay that something. Best picture for me is when customers start using the name of your product as a verb. Whoever says, honey, make a money transfer to me, I don't think anybody does it anymore. You know why? Because we say, Venmo me, baby. Google it. Let's Skype later, and so on. If you are able to, let's Glovo something at dinner with your product, probability you reach your viral loop are pretty high. I would say higher than in the beginning. I thank you for the attention for the first part. Yara, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lara. Well, I promised I would be the one complicating your life, so that's exactly what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to talk about the power of you. I will explain in a moment what you stands for. And mainly, I will share a framework to explain why product market fit is not enough to grow your product. Well, every product needs a growth strategy. So let's start from the complicated question that we need to ask ourselves. A growth strategy is made of 3 components: acquisition, retention, and monetization. So the question relative to acquisition is, how do we acquire customers sustainably? The second question is, how do we retain these customers in the long run? And third, how do we monetize them, ideally profitably? Well, to operationalize these 3 components, I created a growth pyramid model that starts from the basics of growth up to the most complicated levels. This growth pyramid that you see here consists of 5 layers, which must be enabled to ensure sustainable, long-term growth for your product, no matter what your industry is or your business model is about. I'm going to talk through each one of these levels, giving you some example of execution and implementation. Well, to explain the growth pyramid, I picked some example from my current company, which is called Oda. Oda is the #1 online grocery retailer in the Nordics, and it was born out of Norway. Basically, we own the supply chain end-to-end, from the supply of sourcing groceries to the delivery of a box full of grocery to your door. So we have a lot of components to our products that includes logistic platforms, shop platforms, as well as many other things. From the inception to where we stand today, it has been an exciting journey that you can see summarized behind me. We actually became the world's most efficient online grocery retailer. This hides behind it a lot of hard work when it comes to product development. And we achieved revenues for above 250 million euros. It's also worth saying that we achieved the title of unicorn, and we were the first tech scale-up in Norway to get that title. We won several awards, like Best Online Shop of the Year, Customer Service Awards across the course of the years. And this is important because we actually focused on delivering a core product experience that was compelling and unique for our customers. But let's move to the problem space that was discussed this morning and during the afternoon as well. What problems are we addressing with the growth pyramid? Let's start from the level 1. As a foundation, we need a strong product market fit for our product, and there's nothing new there, no? Everybody is concerned about product market fit. And basically, we want to ask ourselves if our product is creating enough value for a good enough market. And the first job we need to do as growth or product managers is actually to validate that we got basic product market fit. So there are several ways to do that. The way we did it was, first of all, to validate that we had a competing price positioning in the markets, comparing the prices that we could offer to our customers against the incumbents. We also validated that we had no major gaps in the assortment offering that was revealed through resultless searches. Imagine that you're looking for bananas and milk, and we return no products available. That would be a pretty disappointing experience, right? So we wanted to make sure that we had a big and varied assortment so that customers could be pleased with what we were giving and delivering to their door. On top of this, they must have retention. So we made sure that customers were coming back, and not only back and back, but also with a good frequency. So we did achieve product market fit, and that was a good start, but far from being enough. So as a foundation, I argue that we don't need just product market fit, but actually a unique product market fit. And we need to switch the question we ask ourselves to, is our product offering a unique value to our target audience or not? Well, I really like this visualization from User on Board that actually reshapes the way we think about what our business actually makes. We tend to focus as product managers often on the product, so much so that we get obsessed by the product. No, it needs to be a cool product. But actually, it's not the product, it's the person who's a potential customer that uses our product, and as a result, needs to become an awesome person who can do rad shit. That's the product that we want as an objective and as a result of our efforts. So what we did, considering the superpower that our product was aimed to create, was to analyze superpowers gained when using different competitors. You can see here a set of competitors that are relevant to Oda, and the superpowers that some of these create. Foodora, for example, which is very famous in Norway, offers tasty dinners ready in 30 minutes while you can watch Netflix comfortably seated on your sofa. That is indeed a superpower. On top of that, what we've done was to investigate our players' unique product market fit across a range of industry and tech to more traditional companies, moving from Instacart, DoorDash, to then the traditional Lidl. And you know, they were actually offering superpowers like never planning, to eating better, to saving money. And we wanted to find our own space. So we tried to operationalize our own unique product market fit. Well, to do that, we started from positioning ourselves differently. What product managers are too rarely concerned about is having a very strong brand positioning. Well, if you've never cared about brand, you should start to do that today. Our global brand positioning is actually about existing to build the world's most effective retail system to create a society where people have more space for life. All the competitors focused about saving time and money. This is adding stuff. What we wanted was to provide space for life, making sure that we could remove friction, that we could solve problems so that people can focus on what really matters to them, spending time with their family and kids, while we take care of their shop. Well, once we have defined this global brand positioning, we also wanted to validate which was the core customer for which this brand positioning was actually resonating the most. And we've done this via market and customer research. We found out that our core customer actually are family with kids. And why? Well, because first of all, they showed the most interest in the value that our core product was offering to them, right? Family with 2 working parents were most likely to try online groceries in the upcoming months. And not only that, through market research, we identified them as the most attractive customer group based on frequency and basket size for online groceries. This is important to make our business sustainable. They also showed best product market fit amongst any other type of target audience. So much so that 71% of this target audience actually declared that they would be extremely disappointed if they couldn't use Oda anymore. Last but not least, this target audience was also proven to be better customer for us because they had a much higher survival rate, meaning higher retention rate, and also higher average customer value after the 13 months period. Last but not least, this customer audience had also a higher income to potentially invest into shopping online. So after we validated our core customer, we moved on to defining our core product. And this was defined as the sum of 5 elements that individually, indeed, provide functional market fit, but that together provide space for life in a very unique way. You can see here the 5 components that have actually been built around the brand positioning of providing space for life. We go from a digital compelling shop experience to a fantastic physical delivery experience of a box with all the products you need to your door, handed to you by a cheerful and very caring delivery guy, then a human and friendly customer service, then offering the cheapest price on the market, which entails a very accurate pricing strategy behind this, and then a high-quality, curated, and fresh assortment. All of these obviously make up for that uniqueness that I was talking about before, and that we should care about as product and growth managers. After defining the core product, we then define the customer offering as the local implementation of this core product in different markets, because we operate in different cities like Oslo, Helsinki, and so on. And of course, my concern as a growth person is actually how do I become #1 in a market? How do I win? So, having a customer offer that is localized for the market perhaps is not enough. What I need to do is to make sure that it results unique enough so that I can stand out from the crowd. And how do I do that? Well, I wrap my core product from a brand and marketing differentiation point of view. And we decided, at the table, what aspect the core product we wanted to showcase based on the local customer needs, the competition, the market conditions, so that it could result both functionally and emotionally fit for that market, for our core customers. Well, fundamentally what we've done was to create our own concept of product market fit. And I'd like at this point to point out how that's different from product market fit, which is basically what we measure to see if our product is good enough for a good enough market. While unique product market fit is what we build and distribute to make sure that our product gets perceived as the best for an always growing market. Remember that distribution is the #1 cause of failure for product. It's not the core value of that product. It's distribution the problem. Well, when we have a strong product market fit within certain groups, we can start investing in marketing and acquisition channels, right? I wouldn't recommend to spend millions of euros before having validated product market fit. Then we need to ask ourselves if we are acquiring our customers in the most efficient way. And not only that, we also need to ask ourselves if our customers are using our product regularly and with increased intensity. This is the next challenge for a growth strategy. Well, if you have a funnel like this one, where actually you're losing out 98% of your unique customers that you paid for, and they don't reach sign up or whatever next steps in your funnel is, think again. Probably you need to start applying a sustainable growth thinking to remove the leaky buckets in your acquisition process. On top of that, if you are in a situation like this, where less than half of the people that sign up actually end up checking out, you want to review the way you're doing the onboarding and the way you're running experimentation to optimize your product. But not only that, the job for a growth manager is to form habits that last. Forming a habit means that you need to figure out what's the natural and ideal frequency of usage of your product. And then you optimize the user journey towards that. In this case, what I'm doing with my team is to optimize everything that we build and the experiments that we run to make sure that I get as big as a percentage as possible to buy back with us 4 times in 28 days. Why is that? Because the need of a family with kids to have groceries and a full fridge is weekly. So ideally, I want them to come back every week to shop from me, because it means that then I'm solving their problems. It means that they're going to be delighted customers. It means that they're going to be retained for the long term, and it's highly likely that they're going to refer friends and family. This is my job as a growth manager or as a product manager with a growth mindset. There are obviously artificial initiatives that you can run to also increase retention and form habits. And this is an experiment, for instance, that we run to offer free delivery for the next year to customers that would buy at least twice every month with us. There are other more famous examples, like the Amazon subscription Prime. That was aimed at this purpose, right? Well, once we have developed a way of ensuring good retention and monetization, we need to worry about being in control of our own growth. And the reason for that is that we want to reduce the dependencies from the likes of Google, Facebook, Instagram to actually acquire customers. You certainly need them to build a user base, but you don't want to rely your success solely on these big companies to keep surviving. So the job of a growth and product manager is actually to reduce dependencies and become more in control of your growth. This can be achieved through different ways, but one of these is making your product more defensible, more difficult to copy. So one thing that normally sits in the way of achieving this purpose is the way you set your objectives or OKRs or SMART goals, whatever you work with, inside your organization. Too often, the acquisition of customer is the sole responsibility of the marketing team. If that's your situation, you need to reset it completely and make sure that customer acquisition becomes a shared objective across marketing, growth, commercial, and the product teams. Otherwise, you're never going to deliver sustainable growth for your product. Let me share some examples of what I call proprietary growth channels that will help you making your growth strategy more defensible, and it will put you in a situation of better control. Brand is #1 acquisition channel. It takes a long time to build, though. So this would deserve an entire presentation by itself. So I'm not going to talk about this, but just keep in mind the brand is the biggest acquisition channel that you should invest on. There are other proprietary distribution channels. very popular, of course. Email marketing, mobile push, in product notification, browser notifications. But perhaps more relevant for product managers here in the room is build and own channels that you can actually develop yourself in-house. So think about building features behind content or content-based feature. Things like shopping lists, in Oda's case, obviously are aimed at getting customers back and sharing a task with family members. In the case of Skyscanner, when I was the VP of growth there, we actually built the feature called Price Alerts. This is a built-in-house feature that return control to us about acquisition and retention of our customers, because customers can sign up and they will come back because we give them additional value in seeing if the price of a flight is going up or down. We reduce the dependencies from paid channels to do remarketing and retargeting. If we think about how, for example, the commercial team can contribute to build a more defensible growth strategy, we can think about initiatives like innovating in the value chain through unique offerings, or collaborating with #1 brands in adjacent categories, or things like unique product partnerings. What this does is basically building uniqueness to your product and making it much more difficult to copy. So in a way, we are more in control of our growth. Well, the next growth problem that I want you to focus on is how can we grow faster than just linearly? This somehow answers the question, how can I get a customer to lead to another? Lara before spoke about virality. This is the multiple $1 million question, right? We would all love to have a viral product. But unfortunately, if you're not built on a viral loop, meaning that you're not Zoom, SurveyMonkey, Typeform, or Instagram, it is very likely that virality comes really difficult. It's not something easy to crack. So we need to ask how we can crack virality and how we can build more compounding growth opportunities within our product. I picked one example. There are plenty, and I'm sure you're all creative people, so you can think about your own product. This is a dinner planning tool. This is meant to solve the problem of planning dinner for my family and my kids. This is a super high-frequency problem that I have. Every fucking day, I have to think about what am I gonna prepare for my kids tonight. It's a nightmare, honestly, and you don't have time. What this tool does is basically providing personalized recipes and sustainable ingredients that you can add with one click to your shopping cart, and then it gets magically delivered to your door. So, voila, your dinner is taken care of. The likely outcome of a tool like this is that the customer will be delighted and will be very happy with the experience and the additional product value that we created for them. So what they're gonna do, again, hopefully and very likely, is to refer this product tool to other members of their family or to friends. So this actually becomes somehow a viral loop, and it becomes a new acquisition proprietary channel. And again, it plays a part in our growth strategy. I'm going to conclude, because I'm a bit late. Apologies, guys, for that. The last but not least of the layers of our pyramid is how can we grow outside our current product and our existing market? Of course, you can ask yourself this question at any time, and we saw the example from Pronto Pro before, right? You're thinking about multiple verticals already, maybe without having cracked one entirely before. That's okay, but ideally, you've been through the pyramid once, and then you reach the ceiling. So you don't have more customers, or your growth is starting to slow down. As a growth or product manager, you absolutely want to avoid that. So you need to think in advance, how can I expand my product to create more growth opportunities? Of course, you can start looking at new use cases, build new user stories, and therefore finding new product fits. An example here, in our case, would be to build a new product that actually takes care of returns of packages back and forth, building on top of the logistic platform that we have already invested in. But then the most obvious and simple one would be to find new market fits. So you start moving from the Nordics, and then you conquer the entire Europe. Well, just to recap, the growth pyramid, 5 levels that I've shared with you today, hopefully they will help you to think about how to grow your product. They show how to operationalize the growth strategy in very, very practical terms. What's important for you to remember is that a mature growth and product organization has unlocked all the levels of the pyramid, so to be able to enable growth in a compounding, defensible, sustainable, long-term way. I hope this was helpful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. Actually, we don't have time for questions, but maybe you can meet them
We're going to be here.
outside. Thank you, Lara and Yara.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.